Welcome back to Virginia this morning, live on CBS 6. The holidays are near, and this time of year can be fun and festive, but the holidays, also some stress and tension, which could lead to arguments and disagreements.
I think we can take the could lead to stress out of that and just say, yes, there's stress present. Arguing in front of the children or grandchildren is really, really discouraged. Our next guest is here to share why that's so important to have those conversations aside. We welcome our great friend of the show, Deborah Porter, back to the studio. It's great to see you, Deborah.
It's so great to see you, Jess, albeit through the screen.
Yeah.
Virtual hug.
All right,
Virtual
so Deborah,
hugs.
The first rule of arguing in front of the kids is don't.
You know,
Great segment. Thank you. We're done.
I've got a little spin on that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that arguing is bad in front of them. I think fighting in front of them is the problem.
And there's a big difference.
And there's a big difference because arguing and disagreeing, it's part of life. We're not going to agree with everybody. We're going to have disagreements. It is a life skill that we want to teach our kids how to disagree. What we don't want to do is have the fighting. And here's the difference. Arguing is about trying to come up with a resolution, trying to find a place of agreement. Fighting is about me being right and me making sure that you know you're wrong. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And so we want to be careful with that.
Yeah, that can happen in an instant too, Deborah. It's so quick that this, the tides turn and next thing you know, but I'm sure you have steps to take to de-escalate.
Absolutely. So, well, the first thing you don't want to do is you don't ever want to involve the children. You don't want to say, Mommy didn't get any Amazon packages today, did I?
Yeah.
We
That
didn't
sounds familiar.
Don't tell Daddy we went to the mall. Don't tell Mommy I bought you that. You don't want to make them pick a side because they love you both, and it puts them in an awkward position. The second thing is if it's getting a little heated, take a timeout. Just, you know what, can we kind of circle back around on this later tonight, maybe tomorrow? My grandmother used to always say, you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to.
Oh, that's a great. Oh, I love that.
You don't. You really can let some stuff just roll off your back.
My parents did not argue in front of us ever. I remember one fight, that's it, in my whole childhood. My aunt and uncle had this thing, and I always would make sure I was there, speaking of attending. So the Christmas tree would go up on a Sunday because my uncle worked retail, and they would fight for like 20 minutes. And then she would just back away, say, go ahead, do it your way. He worked retail. He went to work Monday. She redid the whole tray.
I love it. Don't pick that fight. It's not going to look like this when you get back home anyway. I'm not going to fight about it. Waste of time. But so you want to make sure you're looking for a place to resolve it. You also want to make sure that when the other person is talking, you're actively listening and not waiting for the pause to jump in and make your point. I think a lot of times in disagreements, we're just waiting for our chance to talk, as opposed to really listening, mirroring back what that person said to make sure you understood their point. It's important, and we don't do a lot of active listening. We really don't.
You listening,
I'm
Jeff?
still processing this huge nugget of advice. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. I mean, that's profound.
Grandmothers are like that. Grandmothers are very profound.
Yes.
They give us stuff that we take with us literally into our adulthood. But I think the bigger point here is we don't necessarily want our kids growing up saying, I never saw my parents argue, because then when they're in an argument with their significant other, they can begin to think something's wrong with us, right? Something's wrong with our relationship. We're arguing. My parents never argued, as opposed to we're arguing, but I have a skill set and I've learned how to argue and not let it go on into the next day. And the final point is this: if you're going to argue in front of the kids, you need to resolve it in front of the kids, because we want them to see the entire process. We want them to understand we can disagree. My kids would always say, Mommy, hold Daddy's hand. Like if we argued, hold Daddy's hand, hug Daddy. Like they needed to see the entire thing. They needed to see the resolution. Whereas a lot of times we may argue at the dinner table, we may make up later that night, but the kids need to see the entire process.
That's so profound. You know, it's interesting because I said my parents, they not in front of us, they didn't argue. And so I like fighting is bad. You know, arguing is bad. But if you do it the right way,
Absolutely.
And there's a solution and everybody's respectful, it's a good thing.
It's a life skill. We got to learn how to do it right.
That's what I've been doing
Deborah, that
wrong.
is really, That's right. That's really, really good insight too on the idea of doing the resolution in front of the kids, because otherwise it's like a cliffhanger on television, right? And we all know the suspense and what builds and what's anticipated after something like that. You make it out to something it ultimately isn't going to be. So that resolution really is important.
It's very important. It just kind of puts the button on it, right? It just kind of zips it up so that they know we're all good. Everybody's good. Mommy's good, dad's good. Still love him. Still going to redecorate the tree when he leaves for work. But we're good. We're good. We're all good.
I love that. That was my favorite thing. Thanks for coming in today, Deborah.
Thank
We always
you.
learn so much.